Eric Bischoff was talking about him on his podcast because he's known for this death match style of wrestling. Now he's in AEW, and they did some stuff, with him and Jericho. But Bischoff said about him and his style, I just don't think that kind of thing works. Number one, it doesn't interest me, that style of wrestling. I think it's bad for the industry in general. I think it appeals to such a small portion.
Who's saying this?
Eric
Bischoff, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it appeals to such a small portion of the audience that a larger portion of the audience is turned off by it. Those guys that love that, we saw that the other night with Moxley and whatever his name was. It was Lance Archer. They were digging at each other with a fork. All right, cool, whatever. For me, I won't watch that kind of stuff. Number one, it's not entertaining. There's nothing magic about it. There's no creativity in it. It's just gore and blood for the sake of gore and blood. I recognize that that's my subjective taste, that they're not trying to appeal to me, so I'm not criticizing them being AEW for doing it. I'm just telling you how I feel in this case as someone who's been in the business for a minute and as a viewer. And as a viewer, there's nothing there that makes me go, wow, how did they pull that off? Wow, that was really creative. And then he went on to talk about the guy being in the Dark Side of the Ring episode. And he said, when Dark Side of the Ring focuses too much on that story, I think it gives the entire industry a bad name. Passive wrestling audience, the advertising community, the television network executive community. When people see that kind of thing, they walk away with a perception of what wrestling is. That perception becomes harmful in the long run.
He's absolutely right. I mean, I think I almost echo his sentiments. Bro, you just got to wonder, like, did you watch this past week? Did you watch Jericho against this kid?
Bro, I just watched Raw. Bro.
Yeah, okay. It was even worse. It was because Jericho was bleeding like a stuck pig. And it's just all blood and gore. And I'm watching, like, and I tweeted last night, I'm like,
I saw that.
Bro, this is not 1986 where 25 to 30% of your audience thinks it's real. And the other 70% are going to suspend disbelief. Okay, where Dusty Rhodes is fighting Tully Blanchard, in a bunkhouse match, street fight, and they're punching each other in the head with the belt and stuff, and everything, and then they're bleeding. It's a bloody brawl. These day and age, there is no suspension disbelief. It's like what these guys are doing when the fans know it's fake, all of them, 100%, and they're not even invested in it being real.
Mm-hmm.
Because like this guy comes to the show, Nick Gage, and that him and Jericho are going to slice each other up, and like the fans are happy that he's there because it's a performer of a death match guy. So the mindset is completely not like I said, bro. Whenever I see the comedy on that or the blood on that show, it reminds me of South Park comedy.
Yep.
Because I'm watching this and I'm laughing. I'm like, why are these guys doing this when these fans know that it's a work? All of them. They're not invested in they're like,
Bro, what's funny, bro, I swear to God, and this is the perfect scenario. First of all, I agree 1,000% with everything Eric Bischoff said, 100%. Again, bro, this keeps going back. We keep saying this over and over and over. They're catering to an audience they already have, which is why they're not growing the audience. This brings me back to, Britt Baker bleeding like a pig. And I was like, no, bro, I don't want to see women bleed. Here's what Glenn is saying, Jeff. Jeff, I swear to God, I remember this like it was yesterday. Jeff, I went 12. I was probably about 12, 13 years old. And I was in Florida, bro. And I went to an indie show in Florida, NWA, whatever the hell it was. And I'll never forget this, Jeff. The main event, Glenn will appreciate this, was Dusty Rhodes and King Curtis. Okay, bro, by the end of this match, these guys head to toe are covered in blood. Bro, as a kid, and I remember the audience, bro, people were scared. Like you're scared at that point. That was the reality of, the program and the match. That was today, that same thing, they'd be chanting, "This is awesome." I mean, that's the exact difference that Glenn is talking about. We were afraid when we were watching that match. Like, is somebody going to die? Today, they're chanting, "This is awesome" for stuff like that. And I would love to ask these marks, what exactly is awesome? Like, what exactly is awesome about two guys filleting each other? Why is that awesome to you? I don't understand it, bro. But I'm with Eric. That is not going to draw one casual fan, bro, because they're gonna tune past that, and it's gonna make them sick to their stomach. People don't want to see that.
Glenn, what part of the match were you talking about? You put out a tweet last night during the show that said, "What are you doing, Chris?"
Yeah,
There was the guy's hitting them with the light bulbs, and he's doing hurricanranas the guy into the glass, and bro, it was. I'm like, what on earth is you? I mean, bro, he was bleeding all over the place. He had cuts on his arms, his back, his head. It was gross. And I'm like, well, bro, you write your own stuff. Like, why this thing was the labors of MJF, right? Like MJF set up this gauntlet for Jericho to go through over each week and stuff everything. And it's like he decided this is one of his things, and the whole gimmick is Chris is doing this because he wants another match with MJF. And I'm like, bro, they could have wrote this any way, with Chris not doing this. But it's like, bro, I don't know. It's just like, it's fascinating that there's 2 weeks in a row we get blood and gore.
What was it? What was last week, Glenn?
Lance Archer and Moxley.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like these guys are doing this stuff, and it's. I don't know. I don't know why you're feeding this fan base will watch the show regardless, right? It's like why you're having to deliver that type of content for them is I have no clue what they're thinking, Yep. I wouldn't do that. It's ridiculous. All the things you could do, you have to do that. That is potential to turn more people off.
Yep, it does.
Yep. Like the risk reward here was not not positive EV. Which is expected value. It's just I don't know. They're doing these matches, which are like they're visual, like you're watching a train wreck. Like you can't keep your eyes on it. When you turn it on, you see these guys bleeding all over each other. Well, what's this? But there's going to be a large percentage of people, women, that are just immediately going to turn this off if their channel surfer watching. So I don't know. I don't. Like I said, I'm outside of this bubble. Like I'm not in this wrestling bubble in this echo chamber. So I don't, this echo chamber, this audience, but I'm on the audience outside. That's not the outside looking in group.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that does not interest me.
Right. Yep.
Yep. And I'm part of the audience that if the show is not good, I'm going to turn it off. I'm telling you this is how I look at that stuff. Like a lot of other people.
And that's the thing, Glenn logically and calmly and matter-of-factly is stating his case, but when you state your case, okay, now you're the enemy. No, bro, we just don't like this type of violence. And why are we can't say we don't like this?
And the kid that MJ, the Nick Gage kid, it's not like he's a good worker. He doesn't really sell well. He doesn't. It's just he's just out there. Just making Chris bleed. It's like the guy's gimmick is like, I don't know. It's just fascinating. They're doing this stuff. It's like, I wonder what Punk and Daniel Bryan think when they're watching this.
That's a great point, Glenn. Yep. That's a great point. Great point.
When they're watching this type of content, I don't know if they're like, are they like a bro? But you never know. They may be invested in stuff like that.
What's Sting thinking?
I have no idea.
What's Taz thinking?
Taz
sure
probably
Jim
dealt with a lot of that
first of
stuff
all,
in ECW.
First of all,
not really, bro.
You could tell Jim Ross was not happy.
Yeah.
You could tell Jim Ross was not happy. He was not a fan of this. And it's like they're doing. I don't know. It's just got this vibe of like, like Tony Khan is like a fan of wrestling. He's a fan of this stuff. I want to see blood.
Bro,
sure, I'll bleed, and I'm like,
bro, this is the same audience that says I was responsible for all those guys getting hurt in boxing matches.